Okay, cool. Well, we ready to start?
I am
Yes.
down.
Okay. Well,
I
first,
do think that for the very first episode, when we introduce ourselves, or just when we introduce ourselves in general, maybe give a quick rundown of why we like, what kind of movies we like, and kind of our movie personalities.
okay. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
thought. And then like what our
Thanks
bona
for
fides
springing that on
are.
me like at this last second right here before we record, Charlie. Now I have to
Yeah.
think of something I have to say off the top of my head.
That's
Impossible.
literally that's what we agreed to do.
Impossible. I have
Like,
a big I look, I bought a big notebook. It's a
dude,
very
That is a big notebook. What kind
and
of
I
notebook
wrote
is that?
I wrote notes.
See, I
I
found
wrote
my old
words.
notebook that has like a super random assortment of, okay, so I have podcast ideas in here. I
mhm,
have notes that I took about soccer because I was like, I'm going to be a soccer coach. That's what I'm going to actually grow up and do.
okay.
Um, and then I have all the old movie notes, like about time notes are in here.
Mhm,
Um, just a bunch of silliness. And then like some of the interview stuff that I did to like get one of my first promotions and just like,
mhm.
yeah, a bunch of random shit in here.
Always fun
Um,
to go down that nostalgia run when you find an old notebook.
yeah,
I found a bunch when we were moving.
yeah. Well, anyways, yeah, we can go ahead and get started. Hi everybody, welcome to the completely original movie podcast. I'm Jared.
I guess I'm talking next because Charlie didn't start talking. I'm Kevin.
My plan worked perfectly, and I'm Charlie.
And we're three uneducated dudes who are unpolished
Hey, some of
and
us are we have
unedited.
educations.
Oh, okay. I
We
guess
have
that's just me.
educations.
I'm the only college dropout. So, yeah, we're here to talk movies though. And films and just have a good time
And
generally.
cinema.
The
Cinema.
theater.
Yeah. So anyways, we're a movie podcast this week. To start things off, I decided to go deep into the bag of cinema, and I picked Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which is a movie that I really like. I've watched several times. It's right up my alley in terms of movies. And I guess some context for me. I mean, I like pretty much all movies. I would say I'm not a huge horror fan, but I like big blockbusters. I like espionage thrillers. Yeah, I just like all types of movies, like little rom-coms. I like a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, those sorts of things. So this one though is like feels like an old school like I don't know if hard boiled pertains to espionage thrillers, but it's just a really like yeah, nice like complicated espionage movie. So
Yeah.
um yeah,
We can get into that in a
It,
second,
yeah,
Jared.
yeah,
Let us introduce ourselves first.
yeah.
yeah.
So,
Go ahead,
so-
Kevin.
all right, all right. Yeah,
Hollywood Kevin.
yeah, yes, yes. I mean, no, you live closer to Hollywood than I do. What are you saying?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I live in NorCal, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, Charlie, you're gonna be our beat reporter. We're gonna send you out to all the premieres, see if they'll let you in.
God, they're
They
gonna
would
be like,
definitely let him in.
look at this hick from Bakersfield is what they're
No,
gonna
no,
say.
no, no. We'll put him in a suit. We'll put him in a suit. He's very tall, and
Uh-huh.
they'll just assume that he's like a movie star.
Yeah.
Um, what was I
I could
gonna say
pretend.
about
Yeah.
myself? I don't
I don't know.
actually know much about Charlie's movie appetite. I was gonna say I'm the horror guy of the group, but that might just not be true.
I
Charlie
think
and
you
I
could say
might
that. You could say
Charlie.
that.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, I guess I'm the most horror guy of the group now. Now that Charlie has bequeathed that to me. Um,
I bestowed it upon you.
yeah, although like I'm not like a jump scare or like horror
Mhm.
guy. I'm more
Hmm.
like if anyone has seen the recent film Nosferatu, like that's kind of
Mhm.
Yeah.
my alley of
That feels
horror.
like I would call that maybe like a gothic horror type,
Yep,
like
that is definitely gothic horror.
atmospheric horror.
Yep.
I
Yep.
was calling it a horror epic.
Yeah,
There
Um,
you
that
go.
too.
but
That's
we can save that for the inevitable Nosferatu episode.
Yeah.
we'll get to that in like 5 years, Charlie.
Let the sheen, you gotta let the newness come off of it a little bit.
Yeah.
We gotta
But
wait for Robert Eggers' next film, and then we can review Nosferatu.
we could
Yep.
just do a whole like months of worth of episodes of Robert Eggers movies, and I would be fine with that.
We'd get
Hi
to
everybody, I'm
we'd whole
Charlie.
yeah. You already said hi, Charlie. Come on. I'm not done with my spiel. Actually, no,
Oh
I
boy.
didn't
I
Okay,
know.
am.
we've
I
already gone
am
off the
done.
rails. We're barely 5 minutes in, so we're
No,
off to
I'm.
such a good start.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done. You can go, Charlie.
Yeah, you're done. You're done, Kevin. I'm I am I guess that if I have a niche in this podcast, I'm the tight 90 minute one-off 1990s through mid 2000s guy. That's my bag.
Mm.
Um your Con Airs, your Days of Thunder, Clear and Present Danger, stuff like that. Love it. I love a good thrillers, action movies, even rom-coms, anything that is just a well-made one-off movie, that's usually my bag. But
That's not going to take up too much of your time. You're like 90 minutes in and out.
Yeah.
I think that there's an art to brevity.
No, I
Um
agree. I
I
agree.
mean, there really is.
and
If Zack
yeah,
Snyder has taught the film world anything, there really is.
he's taught no one nothing. Hot take alert. But yeah, I like movies of all genres. I enjoy a good horror movie. I enjoy a good epic, uh, drama, whatever. I just really prefer, like, if I'm gonna put a movie on, I want to put on something that is like a self-contained story that is going to be in and out and hit all the plot beats pretty efficiently. So that's kind of just that's where I'm at. What I like.
Yeah. A quick and dirty movie.
Like a great example of like my favorite films would be that would tell you what my favorite films are is the other movie podcast, The Rewatchables. I
Hmm.
can't remember the last time they talked about a movie that I have not seen.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking through a lot of their movies, and they're kind of in the realm of movies that like I think that I would like, but I've just never actually seen them.
I'll buckle up, Buckaroo, because we're gonna watch some of
All right.
them. But
Well, speaking of watching stuff, this week we watched Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy from 2011. And I'm curious right off the bat, had either of you seen it before?
I had, yeah.
I I, I think that I had watched some of it, but
Okay.
I had never sat down and watched it all the way through.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, so I picked it because I feel like there's a lot to discuss in this. I think this is a very like
It's a very
I don't know,
heavy
like
film. It's
yeah, it's
very
very
heavy, I would say.
heavy. Like it's also it's just very dense. Like there's a lot of stuff that kind of
Mhm.
happens in it. Very plot heavy, which is something that I enjoy as well, like very convoluted and twisty.
Mhm.
So we decided that whoever picks the movie has to kind of describe it in under 100 words. So this is what I have written. Um, when an operation goes sour, Britain's head of espionage control is ousted from the circus. When word of a mole in the agency is reported, George Smiley is recalled to search out this mole. Twisty, tight, tense thriller puts the cold in Cold War espionage film. With Gary Oldman in a murderer's row of British actors, this film is a masterful slow burn uh, of complicated murder mysteries. Come for the spies, stay for the unraveling of the layers.
Nice work.
Well
Thanks.
Nice
done.
work.
Thanks.
You didn't get
So yeah,
ChatGPT to write that for you, did you?
I most certainly did not. Screw
All right.
you for thinking
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
that I
whoa,
would let
Kev. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
the
whoa, whoa.
IE, the old
No,
AI.
that's a bit slanderous,
Yeah.
or libelous. No, that was great, Jared. That's exactly what I wanted when I pitched that.
Cool.
Um, I think if any of you remember our old podcast, shout out RIP to How About podcast. We ended up talking too much about plot, I think,
Hmm.
and I wanted to avoid that. So I'm like, let's get plot talk out of the way
Yeah.
immediately in as short a time as possible, and then we'll go from there. I did like what you said about it puts the cold in Cold War.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, for like, I can imagine someone back in like the 2011s. I didn't actually watch the trailer for this movie,
Hmm.
so I don't know like what it was presented as. It's probably poor research on my end, but
Yeah.
for like a when you think like a spy movie, I think like James Bond and action,
Yeah.
and there is no action in this. It
Nope.
is all
None at
talking.
all.
Yeah.
This is a walk and talk movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a sit and talk. Like
Yeah.
Go
there's
Or
in
even
my
better, a sit and look at movie.
I
Just
wrote
people
in my
staring.
notes. I wrote in my notes that this was 2 hours of go here, talk there, go there, talk here.
Yeah.
and the thing is
Um,
that like I don't know about you guys, but like I'm enthralled the whole time.
yeah.
Like I was locked in. Oh, Charlie's shaking his head.
Oh no. First
I
dissenting opinion of the podcast.
I'm sorry, Jared. I just we'll I'm sure that we'll get more into this.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed it. Good movie.
Yeah.
Never felt any real narrative tension the entire time.
Oh boy. Okay.
Like
Like
I mean,
I
Yeah, I
don't
guess.
know why.
I
Yeah.
think I think I would agree with that. That there's not a
Yeah.
lot of like tension in the movie. There's almost like the conflict is so like kind of high level that
Yeah.
like you you never feel like the characters are in any real danger. But I think that's fine. I'm just having fun like watching them, do what they're doing, which is not
Yeah.
a whole lot.
Even though the
Right.
murder, even though the movie starts with a murder, you still don't feel any like real tension around whether anybody's
I
gonna die.
Well, I thought it started off really strong. Uh
Mm-hmm.
no, I did not, no pun intended, with like Mark Strong getting shot.
Yeah.
Um
But
thank you, Kevin.
Tish.
And I was like engaged with the movie the entire time.
Yeah.
I think though it's so procedural
Mm-hmm.
and Gary Oldman feels so in control the entire time
Yeah.
that it just doesn't it felt very much the entire time it was like Gary Oldman's character is going to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
It's just like
It
it's an
feels
inevitability.
inevitable.
Yeah,
It's just about how he's gonna get there.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that too. I think the first time I watched it, I think I was more like trying to piece together exactly what was going to happen.
Mhm.
And I think that's what kind of got me coming back to it. Like, it made me think of like some of the like Christopher Nolan like head scratcher movies of like, Inception
Mhm.
and Tenant, of like both of those. I just like I needed to rewatch it again because there's a
Mhm.
lot of like visual candy that's going on and like audio candy, and like those are the things that like really like get me going. And so like sometimes I don't pay as much attention to the plot or the writing or whatever, and but for me that's good because it makes me want to come back to that movie. And
Right.
so I think that's what I felt with this one. And then also, Kevin, to like kind of bounce off of your James Bond point, like, so this movie is based on the on a book by John Le Carre. Um, and he's like the anti James Bond writer. Like, him and Ian Fleming were writing like right around the same time about the sort of same stuff. And they were both like kind of in the espionage realm, like as like things that they actually did. And Le Carre is just writes in like so much more like um realist kind of terms, I guess. Like it feels like Ian Fleming, like he leaned into like the silliness of it all, and Le
Mhm.
Carre is like really like trying to be, like a hard-boiled detective, like trying to make things feel a little bit more real. And so like I think that's a super interesting difference of like, again, it's like how can you do the same sort of story two different ways in terms of style.
Yeah. Look, I've always read it as Lakar. I've never heard it actually pronounced out loud. So
Yeah. I'm
everyone,
pretty
I'm
sure
from
it's
the
Le Carre.
southeast.
Yeah.
Charlie's from the
Um,
South, man.
yeah.
We'll
Um,
hear his accent sometimes. It
That
comes out real hard.
yeah.
but I agree with that description, Jared. And one thing I do think that the movie does really well is this does feel you do feel like a sort of institutional weight to
Hmm.
everything that's happening. Um, I didn't write down what scene it was, but it is after Benedict Cumberbatch discovers that like Tom Hardy is staying with Gary Oldman, and
Yeah.
it's like three generations of British intelligence all sitting in an office talking about what's going on.
Yeah.
And that is a really fascinating idea to me of like the Cold War, and this is how it happened, but like there are multiple generations of men that have worked in this secret service like during the Cold War that are like familiar with this trade and this craft and this
Hmm.
institutional memory. And I really thought that the movie nailed that aspect of it. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that other scene where Gary Oldman goes and visits that I don't remember what her like job function was. She's the woman who like watches stuff on the television.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that she originally was like one of the people who trained the spies like during the Second World War, and then later she was just like an analyst, basically. Um,
Right. And she has the
So
weirdest line in
does
the movie.
which
yeah.
is
Uh, how PG are we?
oh, we're not.
Okay,
Off.
yeah. Yeah, when she looks at to Gary Oldman and goes, "I don't know about you, George, but I'm
Oh yeah.
severely underfucked."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What that this is right. And then there's that whole scene stuck out to me because it's framed so like they're sitting on the couch
Hmm.
talking, and she says that line to him, and the camera kind of moves to where you can see through the doorway to like the room over, and there's two teenagers like on
Yeah.
the couch like going at it,
Yep.
like
Well, they're just
tongues
kissing,
down
but
throat.
they're not.
The
Yeah.
tongue, but it's tongues
It's
down
Yeah.
throat.
implied that they're
Yeah, yeah,
leaving the
yeah.
room to go do something else.
Sure, sure, sure. But going at it in that context
Uh,
is evocative of different things. Um,
Get your mind
yeah.
out of it.
yeah,
Go
I did.
No,
ahead.
no. So
So
that's go ahead,
yeah,
Jared.
sorry. No, Kevin, you go ahead.
Okay. It's interesting that you think that she was the one who was training the spies because, like, this movie, set in the 70s, there's like, she's like is she the only female character who like has lines? No, no.
Um,
There's
it's
that
her,
other,
and then it's the Russian
yeah,
diplomat lady.
the
Yeah.
Russian
I'm
diplomat
pretty sure
spy.
that's the only two.
No, no, no. There's also Benedict Cumberbatch says like is kind of like flirty with one of the office
There's a couple
Oh
of
yeah,
girls.
the
There's
like
a
new
couple like
office
secretary
office
lady.
girls.
types.
So it's interesting that you in your head you thought she was like someone who was training the spies. In my head, she was like a an office receptionist who
Yeah,
was
like a
around
secretary or
yeah,
something.
like a secretary
Yeah.
around that time.
I
I
She was
guess
mean,
definitely some kind of analyst because she talks about
later
watching the
on, yeah, yeah,
film.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
yeah,
guess I inferred that from her saying my boys of
yeah,
like
yeah,
that
Hmm.
yeah.
somehow like she had been in a position like above
Hmm.
them, but I guess I think maybe she was like just a contemporary of them, but yeah, she was probably like a secretary or like
Who was
also
just
worked.
around in that
Hmm.
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Um, which is I did want to bring
Yeah.
up the the how homoerotic I thought this movie was.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's just so much like I, I don't even know how to describe it because other than just like very homoerotic. I mean, obviously there's like the Benedict Cumberbatch's character is revealed to be like a closeted gay
Hmm.
man.
Yeah.
And especially like, Britain in the 70s,
Hmm.
they were still
Yeah.
like I don't know if they were
It's
still chemically castrating
I think it's right around the
people.
time that they stopped. I meant to look this up, but it's interesting the parallels between him and then also the character he plays in um
Imitation Game.
Imitation.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
Alan
imitation
Turing. Yeah.
game of like
Yeah.
both like gay closeted characters. trying to like
I'm
just like do a job.
I'm really glad that you brought this up, Kevin, because that's something that I picked up on too, is sort of the symbolism and the idea of identity and like hiding who you are. Because
Hmm.
there's Benedict Cumberbatch's character who is a little or it's like a little the whole time. I don't know how, if they making a hand gesture. But then it's revealed to be a closeted gay man. And then I didn't really pick up on this watching it, but looking back, it made sense. But they're apparently like Colin Firth's character and Mark Strong's character. It's kind of implied. And then
Yeah.
at the very
Yeah,
end, Colin Firth is like settled these like affairs that I've had with men and women.
yeah,
Mhm.
Um, and that kind of like that was an interesting theme because you also have Gary Oldman's character who is like a wife guy to the point that like it was used against him.
hmm,
Uh, and just like the identity and like hiding who you are in your relationships is like a very I wouldn't call it like a prevalent theme in the movie, but it's definitely there.
yeah. I think it's interesting too, like the so I think so Colin Firth's character I think is like he's just Paulie, like he wants
Mhm.
to put his wiener in like anything that moves. Um and it felt to me I want to get your guys' take on this. Like Mark Strong felt like he was very connected to Colin Firth's character and like that he was very much like seems like he's the only one for him
Mhm.
in a lot of the like lingering shots they have of like they're at the end they show like the Christmas party scene like
Mhm.
many times throughout the movie, but at the end it just kind of like squares up the different relationships between all of the like main characters at the circus, like everybody who goes into that the rubber room or whatever, the soundproof room. And I think it gives a lot of like context to things we've seen previously throughout the movie and like just kind of squares up
Mhm.
the relationships as Gary Oldman has done his investigation. But I feel like Mark Strong like is very much like he feels like only attached to Colin Firth's character, whereas Colin
Mhm.
Firth is just like literally trying to screw everything that moves and is just like kind of causing chaos that way. Um, and I think that like Colin Firth also like maybe loves Mark Strong, which is why he like rescued him and how he was like kind of manipulated through
Mhm.
that to like make a mistake in his like spoilers being the mole. Like he revealed himself because he was like, "Oh, I got to rescue my best bud." Um, and
My
so
my very very best bud. No
yeah,
other no
yeah,
other undertones.
yeah.
We're
We're
just
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 really close
buddies.
friends.
friends.
Yeah, we played rugby together. We showered together after the rugby matches. Um, and I think it's interesting though, like the connection to like, what do you guys think about the like that the kid with glasses that Mark Strong interacts with at the
He sort of
school?
like
Like so
he sort of
so
like
after he
mentors
gets
him.
shot in the beginning, yeah, he's sent back to England after getting tortured, and then like he connects with this like kid who like feels like an outsider too. And do you
Mhm.
think like at first I thought the first time I watched it, I'm just like, oh, he's just like kind of like the weird kid who likes to look at people like a classic
Mhm.
wallflower sort of. But now I'm thinking like maybe Mark Strong saw that like maybe he is like gay in some way and like he's trying to like take him under his wing, and like that could also be like maybe in a bad way of like he's trying to like groom him, maybe not that I think the movie really went that, but I think that's an
Mhm.
interpretation.
Mhm.
But I guess I wonder if you guys like kind of saw that or like see the parallels there.
There's
I
definitely
yeah,
sorry,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Charlie.
Okay, there's definitely something there. The way that I kind of interpreted Mark Strong's character, who was by far, like to me, the most interesting part of the movie,
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
agree.
um, was a traditionally masculine man struggling with his homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and on top of that, and I think that that's mirrored with like a big element to his character is he is deceived into thinking that he is officially being sort of like let go from the service and decommissioned. Um, and finds out that like not only was that a lie, but your reputation amongst all of the other men at the circus is that you're like you flipped and like you
Yeah.
couldn't hold up to the torture. And so he is like having like this dual identity crisis. And it is worth like it's worth noting this movie's very British, and there's going to be a
Hmm.
lot of British cultural context that we miss. But one thing that I do know is that like British prep schools, like boarding schools for boys,
Hmm.
do have like you could be gay but still have a relationship, or you can be straight but still have a relationship with a boy there because it's such like a honestly horrific system, especially at this time. And so
Yeah.
I think that to kind of like wrap up what I'm saying here, I think that Mark Strong's character is going through a very complicated identity crisis.
Yeah.
And his relationship with the kid with glasses to me wasn't, I didn't take any kind of like grooming away from it or anything, but it was like two, like that kid is going through his own identity crisis at this boarding school. And it's these two misfit souls that have kind of like bonded a little bit.
Yeah. They recognize that they're like the
Yeah,
same in
like
some ways.
recognizes like. I
Mhm.
viewed it more as like Mark Strong's character sort of sees himself in this kid a little bit. Not in a not that way, Charlie.
No,
Charlie starts
that's
laughing. I mean more like he sees
no.
his younger self. Come on, man. Um
It's funny because I'm
and
not even laughing at that. Charlie's dog is going absolutely nuts in the background,
He's
and
a wild,
it's
he's crazy.
hilarious.
Charlie's dog is extremely cute. I don't know
Yeah.
like but no, yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
Kevin? Yeah.
yeah, no. Come on, man. You know what you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sees
Um
not actually physically, but
yeah,
can
he sees a version his young him as a young as like a 10-year-old in
he
the
has
same
empathy. He has a
situation, and
lot
he
of
has empathy
empathy.
for
Yeah.
this young lad.
Yes, agreed.
um
Hmm.
yeah, and it's not nefarious. I mean, in real life,
Yeah.
that sort of thing probably could be potentially nefarious. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm not. But
I okay, so then I think it's interesting then to frame the end of the movie. So when, again, spoilers, when Mark Strong kills Colin Firth, what do you think his motivation was for that? Because I, the first time I saw it, I thought it was like a mercy of that Mark Strong is killing Colin Firth so that he doesn't have to go back,
Mhm.
or he doesn't have to go to Russia and go through like whatever sort of torture or whatever is going to happen.
Mhm.
Um,
were they going to extradite him to Russia?
yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that I don't remember
So
them
there's a
saying that.
brief kind of line about that of the Polyakov is going to go back to Russia, and he's saying that he's probably going to go to Siberia, but he gets
Mhm.
a pass because he's like technically a part of the diplomatic corps. And then they're like trading the mole back to Russia, and most
Okay,
likely,
gotcha.
like Polyakov is saying that he's gonna have a cushy life, he's gonna be like a hero, but I think it's like kind of implied that that's not actually
Yeah,
really what's he's probably gonna get like tortured again for more information, basically.
right. Anything
Right.
that he'd been holding out on
Yeah,
potentially. I mean, because he's like a double agent, so you don't really
yeah,
know like
yeah,
where their allegiance lie.
yeah.
Okay, so you thought it was a mercy killing. Do you still think that after this
The
viewing?
first time I watched it, and then this time it kind of gave me the question of, is it actually revenge of like,
Mhm.
did when Smiley talked to him about like that he actually really did get framed, of being like the traitor, probably to kind of like deflect a little bit from Colin Firth, um, like getting any heat from the operation going sour. Do you think then he's killing him because he's like, oh, you betrayed me and like you were my one true love and like what the fuck? Um, so I don't know.
I
I
took
guess
I took it
what
as
did you
pure
guys think?
revenge. I
Okay.
to
Yeah,
me it
yeah.
seemed
So
like
did I.
you ruined my life because he's
Yeah.
living. Also, I want to see the Wes Anderson movie that is Mark Strong teaching French and living
Yeah.
out of a caravan.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that. I want that. Make it
It
happen,
does feel
Hollywood.
like did either of you guys watch? I haven't actually watched it, but that movie that's like has oh my God, what's his name? Um, but it's like the boarding school, like the kid who stays over Christmas break or whatever.
Yeah, I
Oh,
have
the
That just came out.
leftovers?
Yeah, not
Uh
the
holdovers.
the
the
holdovers.
holdovers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, leftovers.
I don't know why it feels that vibe, but like based on all the trailers that I'd seen for that movie, like it kind of felt like that sort of vibe.
yeah, it
Could
does.
be a movie with
I
him.
agree with that. But I took it as you destroyed my whole life.
Yeah.
And so now I'm getting revenge. Is how I interpreted it.
Yeah, so did I. And partially it's because I've seen this movie twice and I missed the line both times that they were going to send him back to Russia. Don't
It
know
is
how
kind
that
of an
happened.
awkward, it's like an
Um,
Mhm.
awkward edit of like after they do the bust in the house
Mhm.
of it's Polyakov like talking, but we don't actually see him until the end. And so like Polyakov is talking about it, and he's like, "Well, I'm in the diplomatic corps, so like if any of your goons come in, blah blah blah." And then he says like, "I'll go to Siberia, but you're probably gonna get a nice hotel in Moscow or something like that."
Mhm.
okay.
That's what that line is, and so that's how I'm inferring that he's gonna go back.
Right. I,
Yeah.
I I agree. I think that they mention it at some point. There's going to be a swap.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
which is true to like how this would have worked, but to me, like again, like the lack of narrative tension, like nothing,
yeah.
like they're just
If
going to
this was
swap
a
prisoners.
yeah,
It's very diplomatic at the end of the
if
day.
this was a Bond movie, like that final building that they're in,
Mhm.
there would have been like a shootout in there, and there probably would have been
Right.
like a chase through London. Like there would have been a lot more action. But I think the thing to kind of get to then talk about something else that I want to talk about is the lack of that, I think, is the joy
Mhm.
that I find in this movie of
I
like
agree. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love I've always loved the idea of like telling stories many different ways. Like there's the history of humankind is like, I mean, there's the whole monomyth thing of like there's only actually
Mhm.
one story, and then there's schools of like, that there's the man versus self, the man versus others, like all that sort of stuff. And I think the like
Mhm.
taking stories and then spinning them in a different way, just like stylistically, like um thematically, that sort of thing is like that's one of my true joys um of media, and like in like stuff being dramatic representations of stuff, movies and TV shows
Mhm.
and whatever. And so I really, really appreciated that. Like, if I want to go for like a spy, like caper that is like cerebral and stuff, I go for this. If I want to go for something that has like big stunts and like silliness, I go to James Bond. If I want to go to one that
Mhm.
has like big stunts and then also like the world is literally teetering on the edge and like the stunts are absolutely outrageous and like it's action nonstop, then I go to like Mission Impossible. And I enjoy every single one of those, but it just
Mhm.
kind of it's determined by like what sort of vibe I'm looking for. And this one is just like so different, but also so perfect in the choices that it makes. Like it doesn't ever feel that it steps out of its realm. Like it feels like this
Mhm.
whole world feels super like encased in exactly what it is. Like it is slow, but it's not going to apologize for that. Like
Mhm.
the music choice is so good of like it's just kind of in the background a little bit. It's like a little bit of like jazzy horns just like kind of toot tooting away, and like you got like an oboe in the background or a clarinet or whatever just like doing wah 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 wah
It
wah,
reminded
and
me
it's
a
just
lot of
like
The
the Severance music.
yeah,
the
Yeah.
piano medley that plays throughout the movie is really like I the and so as far as like the plot and everything goes, maybe not my favorite movie, but
yeah,
I really, and this is what I wanted, not to hijack things, but like the
no,
music and the editing and the cinematography were all like kept me, even though that like you could really boil this movie down to guys stand in a room and tell a story
yeah,
for 2 hours.
yeah,
The music's great, and I really like the, especially when we get to like the next movie that we watch, we can talk about this a little bit. Did you guys notice how never in this movie, except for maybe towards the very end, is there's never any still shot? Like if there's no motion in a shot, it ends within the next like couple of seconds and cuts to something different or
yeah,
transitions to a different scene. And I love that.
yeah,
There's always whether like the characters are moving or there's movement in the background or um just there's like a car, they'll be standing on like the street corner talking and a car will cut
mm-hmm.
like in front of them. I love that. And it keeps the movie very visually interesting, even though this is a brown beige movie. There's
Yeah,
very little color in it,
yeah,
which I really like color in movies, but I enjoyed that. I thought the music was very well placed, and the like original score was very good. The
mm-hmm.
use of actual music, like La Mer that plays at the end, obviously is very iconic. I enjoyed all of that. And just it was shot like, especially at the beginning, there's some fun camera things that they do where bloody um the like specifically it's right after the opening and they're kind of doing establishing shots of the circus and the camera
Hmm.
kind of like goes out over because it's in that courtyard and it goes out over like the roof that's overlooking it and kind of almost like it's attached to like the head of a snake then looks down on the circus before we cut inside to it.
Yeah.
And that's just like I love little stuff like that where the camera
Yeah.
actually moves.
Yeah.
There's a great shot where Gary Oldman and John Hurt are talking, and it's shot reverse shot, except when John Hurt is talking, they're on one side of the fence, and when it reverse shots back to Gary Oldman is behind like the wrought iron fence, like he's behind bars.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah, I think
enjoy.
it's great cinematography by Hoyt van Hoytema, who's done a lot of work with Christopher Nolan,
Mhm.
specifically Oppenheimer, Tenet, and Dunkirk and Interstellar. And I think he like for sure he's a very like subdued in terms of colors, but like framing, like lighting, like all that stuff was just incredible. And it also kind of lent it to the like, there's the joke that everything in World War II was like in black and white and all that stuff. But it
Right.
does feel like sometimes when you have things set in an older period, like desaturating that just feels like the natural choice. And so I
Mhm.
think it does a really nice job of that. And then same with the music. The music is by Alberto Iglesias, who I'd never really heard of before. But yeah, it just feels like, again, the perfect package of like, this is exactly what the movie set out to do. And it's not like trying to be any other sort of movie. It's like trying to be exactly
Right.
the movie that it wants to be. And so
Mhm.
like thematically, all of that stuff just really fits. Like it makes it
Right.
slow and deliberate, but also interesting at the same time.
Mhm.
And Charlie, to your point about the frames too, it feels like very much like a stage play in that way too. Of that,
Mhm.
like you
Mhm.
have obviously on a stage play like a static scene, but then how do you make everything else interesting? And I
Right.
think they do a really nice job of that. And I think one of the big things about that too is they like play with the rule or sort of the rule, quote unquote, of cinema, which is supposed to be you're supposed to show, don't tell. But they do a lot of telling and not showing, but it's
Mhm.
very compelling because like you have these great actors like telling
Right.
all of these stories, like getting into the character. Like it feels very real. It feels like the way that like if I'm telling a story about something, like I'm obviously just gonna say it, we can't have a flashback to where it is, like we're not all gonna just like have a delusion and see exactly what I was seeing. And so
Right.
like I really appreciate that as like a stylistic choice for this because it feels in line with that.
Right. Can we for a second talk about flashbacks though? Because this happens, it's less, there were fewer degrees of separation between this movie and the next movie than
Yeah.
I was expecting. Because holy shit. God, when Tom Hardy shows up and we have to do a flashback with him,
Yeah.
it's the only time in this movie that I looked at my phone.
Uh-huh.
You
I,
didn't like the stuff in
oh my
Turkey?
Yeah.
God. I'm sorry.
That
I
was
don't know
the
if it's
only that was
just
the only part of the movie besides like the very first scene that was like even tangentially related to action, you know?
Yeah. It's
I
Because
true.
just
like
maybe it's because it's Tom Hardy, but I was like, God,
are you
we
not
Hey.
a fan of Tom Hardy?
Oh
I
my
think
God.
I
Oh
Anti
my
Tom
God.
Hardiness.
Oh
pretty
my
anti Tom
God.
Hardy.
Oh no.
He's
Oh
British
my.
Ryan Reynolds,
All
and I
right.
don't
Well,
like
That is
either of
not
those.
true. That's
That
not
is
I
true.
total.
I
I
think
guess I'm gonna have to.
Tom Hardy has so much more range than Ryan Reynolds.
He is the and yet he is the same
Yeah.
character in every single movie that he plays. Every single
I
movie. It doesn't matter if he's doing a fake American accent
no.
as
I,
Eddie
I would
Brock
say
or if he's in 3 pounds
yeah.
of makeup for
I would say
that
I would
British
say
gangster
he.
movie.
I don't think he's Ryan Reynolds. I think he's more like Ben Affleck. Of like he does a very specific sort of role, and it's not that he's a bad actor. It's just that he's doing the same acting.
I don't know when this happened. I used to like Tom Hardy a lot, and
Yeah.
now I just don't.
That's wild.
You're out
Well,
on
I'm
Tom
gonna have to
Hardy.
take.
Stock's
So
low.
yeah, Charlie, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and so I've been sneaking a lot of Star Treks in here for Kevin and I to watch in our previous podcast. So now
Okay.
I guess I just have to take off Star Trek Nemesis because he
No, you
plays
have
a
to put
huge
it
part
back
in that
on. We
one.
have to force Charlie to watch only Tom
Okay.
Hardy. I'm
This
changing
is Tom Hardy
I'm changing my
If
conversion
you
pick.
are
therapy
fi-
now.
if
I'm
you're
changing
fine with
my
a
pick
four
to a
minute
movie
rant
that
about
includes
Tom
Tom
Hardy,
Hardy.
I will hate on Tom Hardy. I will watch his movies, but it's
Yeah.
gonna be in the podcast.
Well, yeah, you guys both know how Tom Hardy looks exactly like Patrick Stewart, but slightly younger, right? You
That is
guys are on
not
board for
true.
that.
That can't be fact. I have to look at a young John Stewart or Patrick Stewart.
Well, yeah,
Um,
Well,
we'll
they did use
yeah,
him to play young Pat or
yeah,
Captain
young
Picard.
Picard.
what they didn't
Yeah,
spend $15 million on de-aging technology to make 80-year-old
Well,
Harrison
this was
Ford.
2000 and 2005. I don't know, early
something like that.
2000s.
Early 2000s.
But I just getting away from my hatred of Tom Hardy. I do think that that is the weakest part of the movie because, and I will. This is kind of just a rule for me. Whenever a movie is moving along, and then we're gonna stop and we take. I didn't time this one, but it felt like 20 minutes to go to go back.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. That whole subplot didn't do it for me. His character
Yeah.
didn't do it for me.
So it's interesting though because I think I agree with you in one way of like I do think it was the least interesting, but I
Mhm.
also think that his subplot is actually that's the only real plot of the whole movie. Like the whole
Mhm.
thing starts because Ricky Tarr, horribly great name by the way, because
Yeah,
Ricky Tarr
so
discovers that there's
British.
a mole and tells Control to confirm Control's belief that there is a mole. Like that
Mhm.
starts the whole plot of the movie. Like
Right.
that's why he sends what's his face
Mark Strong.
yeah,
Yeah.
to Budapest?
Yeah, to
Istanbul.
Yes,
Budapest.
Budapest.
To
It's
Budapest.
Budapest.
Um and like that kicks off the whole thing and then the rest of it is just like Smiley just like kind of poking around and like trying to uncover the whole thing,
Right.
but in terms of like the plot of like the things that actually happen, like Ricky Tarr is integral to all of that.
Right.
But yes, I do agree his character's weird and feels out of place in moments.
His character's
Um
very pathetic.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I
And
don't
I
know if
think
that's
that's the
because
point.
like
that is
hmm?
the point. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Um, so then I would assume then at the end of the movie you don't feel bad that they trick him into
They just flat out
cooperating,
lie to him.
even though his
Like, yeah,
wannabe
we're gonna get
I
your
girlfriend.
didn't
girlfriend back, bro. It's
I had
fine.
Yeah.
no sympathy for his character at
Dang,
any
that's
point.
brutal.
I didn't really have sympathy for any of these characters. I don't
Yeah.
and it's you're right, Jared. Like Ricky Tarr and Mark Strong are like the only two characters with an arc in this movie.
Hmm.
Everybody else comes into this movie fully formed and remains
Well,
the
I don't know if
same.
they're just like kind of set in like glue or
Right.
amber or whatever. They're just
This is
stuck.
not a movie. This is not a
Yeah.
character-based movie.
No.
Which is why it's weird to me that Gary Oldman got a Best Actor nod for this. Not because he did. I don't think anybody in this movie does a bad job acting,
Yeah.
but he doesn't. To me, like he doesn't get enough to do, even
I
dialogue
think
wise.
I think the subtlety is what really does it for me. Of like he, to your point, I think I don't remember who said it, but he's like so controlled
Mhm.
and like seems inevitable. But his
Mhm.
like the whole aura of that is just so good. Like there are
Mhm.
two scenes that I think about. The first one is when they're in the car, and there's the
With
fly
the
after they
it's the
picked up,
bee.
yeah, the
Yeah, there's a
bee or
Yeah.
bee.
whatever,
Yeah,
and then like
Yeah.
everybody's like trying to swat at it to try to get it out, and then he just
just rolls
watches it,
down and then
opens the
rolls down a
window, and then
window.
it flies right out of the window.
That is a
Like that's
really good moment.
exactly his approach. Is like he's gonna like set the trap, he's gonna sit there,
Mhm.
he's gonna wait for it, and then he's gonna spring it perfectly. And then he does that at the end of the movie too, of like when he's waiting for after he spooks everybody by saying
Mhm.
Ricky Tarr has the info on the mole again,
Right.
of when he sits in that building, he waits for them to show up, he's in his little socks, and then he just like pulls out his gun and he's literally just like he has mints in his pocket and he's like eating mints and he's like, well, I'm just gonna get this motherfucker. But he's like not
Right.
making a big deal about it. Like his
Mhm.
whole like demeanor is like he has stripped all of the emotion out of his life when it comes to his job, and he's just like so cool, calm, and collected.
Right. Very stiff
um
upper lip.
yeah, and that
Yep.
he's just
Yep.
like he knows exactly what the plan is once he figures it out, once he's like gotten all of the info, he puts it together and he just like then pounces. And
Mhm.
I think he does a really nice job of that. And I do think, I don't know, in terms of the Oscars, I think it was the like one of those of like an actor I think does so much good work that at one point they're just gonna like get an Oscar
Yeah,
for
they just
They're just
get the
something.
gonna
nod.
like
Yeah.
this is a good performance. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just give it to him. Sort
I
of
think
like
Right.
what's the
Leo with the Revenant.
yeah, or the Shutter Island or whatever, whichever one of Scorsese won
Oh,
Yeah.
later
Yeah.
yeah.
that people are like maybe he didn't deserve. Which, by the way, if anybody is a big Scorsese fan, I've not watched a lot of Scorsese, so I'm looking for that in some movies coming
I
up
could throw you
here.
some Scorsese. I
Okay,
like that guy.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, so speaking of actors, though, this cast is absolutely cuckoo bananas. Like,
stacked.
yeah, every white male middle-aged British actor is in it, and then not so much of the other types of
Very,
British actors.
it's yeah, it's a
Um,
very white, it's a very white boy movie, but
yeah,
it's appropriately so.
yeah. It's just like, yeah, it's so good though. Like even in
Mhm.
2011, I don't know how the Brits like feel like they pull this together so often. Of just like maybe it's because there's such a smaller pool of the British actors, but like
Mhm.
really everybody on this has gone on to like do something like
Right.
what feels
Yeah.
monumental. And then I think Mark Strong, I wrote this down, that Mark Strong feels like a premium character actor of like he hasn't had a lot that he's been like the headliner in it, but he's
Right.
always so good in every movie that he shows up that he's just like
Always a highlight.
he's
Yeah,
just like so good.
I agree. He's having a bit of a moment because he's apparently he is like a pretty big character in what is it, White Lotus this season.
Oh,
Oh, I
is
haven't
he?
started watching that yet.
Yeah, I've never
Okay.
watched it. My brother swears by it, but
Yeah.
I've never
I
watched
watched
it.
like half of the
It's
first
strong
season.
television.
Yeah.
I did. Speaking of you're like this cast, like I went through kind of the cast list just to like see what everybody had been in and like what I remind myself what I had seen with all these folks,
Hmm.
and like just a bunch of guys that do so like steady work. Like you get some of
Yeah.
these actors who do one movie every 5 years. Um, but like Mark Strong, like his filmography, like his acting credit starts in 93 and it is two or three, sometimes four productions a year up through like the present day. And that's just for film. Like his television starts in 89 and is pretty much the same way. So very like
He's a
I just all
workaholic.
I just really
Yeah.
appreciate that, like actors that put in steady work and maybe don't have like big leading roles, but are like pop up and give you a good performance. I've
Yeah.
always appreciated that.
Yeah. I do want to also highlight Toby Jones. Toby Jones is like one of my favorite actors. He's in one of my like sleeper favorite TV shows of all time, The Detectorists, which is just a great, like, silly little British show about metal detectorists who go out and do metal detecting, just like
Mhm.
out in the British fields. And it's really good. Highly recommend everybody to see it.
I know
Um,
him from Snow White and the Huntsman.
oh
Fun
yeah,
fact.
I mean, he's one of the Marvel villain-esque
yeah.
guys. Like
Zola.
yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. Oh, he's
Yeah,
in
he's
The
an actor.
Mist.
Oh,
I don't
never seen
remember
The
him. Oh, I
Mist.
think The Mist is good.
Oh, one of my favorite bad movies. He's in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I haven't seen that
yeah.
one. I refused.
Oh, buddy, you have
Good
no
Oh
choice.
no, I
choice.
shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. That was a mistake.
Yep, here comes
Um,
Indiana Jones month.
Yeah, it'll happen. Anyway, um, what else do you guys want? Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? Let me consult my notes.
Yeah, I did want to
Um,
mention something. This movie is set in the Cold War. And there's, and so we have like the British, the West versus the Soviet Union, those filthy commies. Um, after he is after Colin Firth is like captured and he's like sitting in that like, little jail cell-ish thing. Um, he says to Gary Oldman, it was an aesthetic choice, not just a moral one. And when he's
mhm.
like talking about
Hmm.
like, betraying his country for the Soviets, and I was thrown by that. Um, I kind of have no idea what he's talking about, and I wanted to get your guys' take on it. I mean, I know he says he's like the West has gotten very ugly.
Mhm.
Um, but like what specifically is he saying? And like what is
Okay.
this
I
movie trying to say by that?
Yeah. I guess I interpreted that as he's trying to say it was like a toss up, obviously. He didn't really care which side he was going to be on, but he thought the ideas and like the culture of the West was not what he was looking for. And I think maybe specifically for like Britain, of like that this is like a part of the like decline of like the British Empire and all that stuff. And so that's how I kind of interpreted that, of like it was just kind of a toss up, and he's like, well, do I want to like try to be a part of this new thing that might be coming through communism, or do I want to just be a part of the old British Empire? And he was like, rather not for the British Empire, like let's just go with the commies.
So, uh, sorry, I'm double checking my dates. History major here. So I think that really what he's referring to, you kind of have to have like the historical context. So this movie is in like 73, 74. And that was kind of for both Britain and America, that was kind of a low point in the mid-century. Um, it's like right before sort of the rise of Thatcherism to kind of pull Britain out of a recession. You guys know that like in about 75, 77, the US went through a similar recession.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that personally, and I feel like this is a theme that did not get sort of the play that maybe it needed for this line to land. But it's the 70s. We all know that like the 70s are kind of known for this era of drug use and free love and sort of like the moral decay, quote unquote, of society. And this movie is filled with this sort of old guard of British intelligence, like guys that were not only like lived through World War II and the Blitz, but served in it.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, as we mentioned earlier, they have this very stiff upper lip attitude. And when you compare that to guys like Ricky Tarr, like Tom Hardy's character, who clearly like do not have the sort of seasoning or the sort of resiliency that these other guys do.
Like the classic Britishisms, he's not as
Exactly.
much.
Yeah, he would to these older men be perceived as weak. And I think that that's what Colin Firth's character kind of sees is this sort of decay of the resolve from the Blitz, which is a huge thing in Britain, and where the keep calm, carry on, the stiff upper lip, all of that comes from we've got to make we are Britain's or Europe's last hope against the Nazis, and that resolve. And I think that that's what he sees, and he looks around him and sees like this kind of relative era of plenty and how the current generation to his eyes is like going fallow and is wasting all of this. And I think that would be in part why he would turn. He's certainly not turning because the Soviets were more friendly to poly or bisexual or homosexual people. That's for sure
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah, I think that feels right. Again, not knowing all of the history of it. And I think that as well, like the movie, I think does a good job of showing like this British Secret Service feels like it's going through a change, because at the
Mhm.
end, obviously, Smiley takes over control of the circus. But also it just feels like it's a second rate power as well. Like
Right.
the whole plot of the movie is that um the Russian person in charge, Karla, is
Mhm.
using them to get to the Americans. So like they don't even care about the British's
Right.
intelligence. They just want to
Eh,
get to the American intelligence and influence
mhm.
that, because they know that that is actually the next big power. And then again, like going back to like sort of the British like stiff upper lip um perspective, is that then that's just got to be like another body blow to the British of like, well, shit, now these upstart colonists are like once again doing something that we prided ourselves on, like the espionage, like the whole spy agency stuff, like which they kind of like
Mhm.
originated in the modern age.
Right.
Like they're again not doing that good enough
Right.
for even the two big powers, are they're not a part of that anymore.
Right. And a little bit more historical context that kind of lines up with that too is
Like post World War II, it was very much seen as like we only won in Europe because Britain held on.
Hmm.
Like Britain got a lot of credit for being sort of the linchpin. And on top of that, oh, I had that thought and it went
It
away.
vanished.
I hate it when that happens. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The OIS, like the Office of Intelligence Services in Britain, was the first like formalized like intelligence network. Like they were the first. They're the OG. So it's like to not have the ear of the Americans, which they repeatedly mentioned in this movie, and to be seen as just like a stepping stone to get to American intelligence. Like the Soviets are just passing through Britain, like metaphorically,
Hmm.
after they had spent these years being this like bastion for the West, for Western democracy. So I think that there's like a bit of like indignation in that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I that's all
Um,
my notes, by the way. So I don't know if you guys got anything else to talk about, but I can just ramble about how much I hate Tom Hardy.
yeah. Well, maybe let's pivot from that and say, so one of the notes that I have, that I really enjoyed, again, like a stylistic choice, is all of the lingo that they use. So
Hmm.
there's like a lot of like euphemisms and uh metaphors and stuff that they use to talk about their work in the circus. They talk about treasure for having secrets, putting a hood on somebody, talking about like it's gonna be no sale. I just really
Hmm.
loved all of that lingo. Like that
All the
again
spy
made it
lingo.
feel, yeah, it made it
Hmm.
feel like a real sort of like real spy stuff was happening.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I love that. And then the other thing that I want to talk about too is, have either of you watched the TV show The Americans?
I've seen the first season.
I've
Okay.
seen the first like half of the first season.
Yeah. So this felt like similar in a lot of ways to that. I think that one has a little bit more action, but it's very much kind of same thematic stuff. And I think one of the reasons why I enjoy this movie and why I enjoy that one is like it feels very out of step with kind of what current trends are too. Of like it feels like a throwback in a lot of ways. And I just really enjoyed because they're both executed super, super well and like just feel very specifically different, and it
Hmm.
doesn't feel like as cookie cutter as like a lot of modern stuff can be. And so I just really appreciate like those sorts of qualities in a show or
Hmm.
in a movie. So
Right.
if any of our listeners enjoyed this movie, I highly recommend you to go watch The Americans. It gives a lot of the similar vibes. All right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess if we don't have anything more, Kev, you had anything else?
Not really. My the rest of my notes are pretty random.
Okay.
I said I really liked how everyone is dressed.
Oh yeah,
Every,
costuming is
the
great.
costuming is
Yep.
great, but I think more than that, I think just like the fashion in the 70s is really
Hmm.
fun. Like
Hmm.
all these guys are dressed in like, lots of layers, overcoats, and like, the vests. It's all great. I think we should bring that back.
Yeah,
Um, uh, uh,
Nope.
let's
Hoodies
see.
for life.
I mean, I'm wearing a hoodie right now, so
I love hoodies.
what else? Oh yeah, when Mark Strong shows up at the schoolhouse, there's like a bird that like flies through the chimney in his classroom, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he
What did we
brutally
think of that? What
like it
is?
was
I,
it,
I
it it was like in a very extreme way. In like one way you to interpret that is just like, oh, he's like, he kills the bird, and like all of us he like instantly wins the respect of these like 10-year
Mhm.
olds.
yeah,
And
Right.
so in one way, like it's just as
because
simple as
they'd been
that.
making fun
But
of him before because he has like a hunch because of like when he how he was
Yeah.
shot, so they call him the
The
Hunchback of Notre
Hunchback.
Dame.
yeah, yeah.
So I think it was first, yeah, to prove that, and then also to like just show how ruthless he is. Like he just does
He's
not
still
care
he's
about the
still
bird.
he might be
Right.
like this like soft-spoken teacher now, but he's
Yeah,
still got that
the killer
sharp edge
instinct.
to him. Yeah.
Right. It was such a, I'm glad that you reminded me of this, Kevin. But like that is the most fantastical part of this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. That's like the
Yeah,
it
Like, cause this
flies down the chimney and
through
it's
the
on
fire.
fire. It's on fire as it's
Yeah.
flying around the
yeah,
classroom.
And then he he's like takes a like a piece of wood or something and he beats.
He do it.
Yeah, he smacks it to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, he destroys it. But that's kind of my notes. Oh yeah, the last thing I did want to say is when Mark Strong is again, I have all my notes are about Mark Strong, probably because he's the most interesting character.
Yeah.
But at the end, he's like all sad and he's drinking vodka. He's drinking
Hmm.
Smirnoff vodka. Did you notice that, Jared?
Yeah.
And
Um,
that feels very like pointed and yeah, I don't know. That's
yeah.
all I had for that.
Like you're thinking that he was like turned then?
No, no, not that. Just like it's vodka is the drink of the Russians, you
Yeah.
know. And should we pause here?
No, we can keep going.
All
We
right, we
temporarily
lost.
have some technical issues.
We
So
we okay, yeah.
we've lost
Um,
Charlie, but we'll
no, I
get him
mean it's
back.
just it's not so much about like viewing it as like a betrayal or anything. It's just
Yeah.
like it's just a different
Maybe he
choice, I
got the
think.
taste while he was getting tortured.
Maybe, yeah. They're
They
they're they're
drowned him
helping
in
him out there.
vodka. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
I mean,
I
it's
just
just
kind of
because like
saw that as
like in a movie like this, I don't think anything is like random. Like they're not gonna have
mhm.
just like the prop department like just put down something,
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be a deliberate choice from the filmmakers to,
Yeah. Is he drinking vodka the whole time though? Because I thought one of the times he had whiskey, maybe.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I know the other guys are drinking whiskey like
Yeah,
in
I know.
the
I guess I didn't even clock. I truly just don't remember. Is
yeah,
he
yeah.
drinking vodka the whole time that he's back?
I don't think we see him drinking other than that moment. Maybe we do.
Okay.
Um,
Hello.
he's back.
All right, we're
We
back.
No, Charlie. Okay, so what
Yeah.
you missed? Not that much. Not that much important. Did you notice that at the end of the film, Mark Strong is when he's like drinking in his trailer, he's drinking vodka.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you have any thoughts?
I feel like in this movie it's meant to mean something, but I cannot
You
at
can't make a
this.
connection. That's kind of where
Yeah.
I'm at too. Or like, I was saying like, they wouldn't have just put like a random bottle down for him to like
Yeah.
mess around
Right.
with.
Do you think maybe it's trying to hint that both well, okay, so it is stated by Smiley that Mark Strong knew that Colin Firth or basically knew that Colin Firth was the
Mhm.
mole, so he alerted him so that he knew that he was going on this mission for control. Do you think it's because like maybe he was also doing some mole work with Colin
No,
I,
I think
Firth?
I
I thought he alerted him because he's in love with him.
Yeah.
yeah, like he's in love with him, or he's at least like this is my boy, like this
Yeah.
is my really close friend. I thinking about it, I think it might be like he's brought it back with him, like he's
Mm,
brought the torture
That's what
back
I
with
see.
him.
that's what Jared did say.
Yeah, that they
Okay, then
drowned him
yeah,
in vodka and now that's all that he wants to taste.
that
Yeah,
was poetic.
Yeah,
there we go.
like when they were
Yeah.
waterboarding him, they waterboarded him with vodka. Although that feels
Ah,
expensive.
that feels
And that would
expensive
be
and terrible.
Yeah,
yeah, that I
it'll
mean,
probably burn your like any sort of orifice, your
Yeah.
eyeballs.
God. If they do that to
yeah.
you now when you're wearing contacts, Jesus. Ugh.
Yikes.
But yeah, I think that thinking about it, I think that it's meant to be like he's forever changed.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like something that yeah, like you said, he brought it back with him. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily like that they were giving him vodka. It's just like part of him will always be in that
yeah.
room being
He's
tortured.
Right.
changed. He's a vodka boy now.
And there is a little bit in this movie, like despite it never puts like a big like emphasis on it, but it is there of like this this business really like affects people in ways that are like deep and fundamental. So like there's Mark
Hmm.
Strong's character who's clearly PTSD. We've talked about the vodka. Tom Hardy's character, like
I think it's very symbolic of him. Like he desperately wants this woman to be alive and like super brutal. Like they shoot her in the head and like it lingers on Mark Strong for a second, but in the it's out of focus, but in the background, like part of her skull like falls off of the wall in a
Yeah.
way that's almost slapstick.
Yeah.
Uh
I thought that was a
yeah.
great touch.
And like Gary Oldman's character, and I did not pick up on this the first time. I had to like it was while I was reading up on it, but so when Gary Oldman has like the longest sort of like dialogue bit that he gets is when he talks about the one time he met Carla, and it was when
Hmm.
he was trying to convince Carla to flip, and he kept like bringing up his wife, and so Carla knew that Gary Oldman's character was like a wife guy, and
Yeah.
has Colin Firth's character seduce Gary Oldman's wife and ruin his marriage, and like that is deeply, deeply messed up.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it's espionage, baby. Everything's trying to
Everything's fair
manipulate
game.
everybody.
And I do think that that's like an appropriate for how the movie is tells its story, which like maybe I'm not the biggest fan of a movie that is just boom, 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 procedure. Gary Oldman's inevitably going to find the mole. 2 hours of guys telling this like telling stories might not be my
Hmm.
favorite movie to watch, but it perfectly fits the idea in espionage that everything is a resource and
Yeah.
everything is cold logic.
Yeah.
So
Yep. It's a cold, cold time lived in by cold, cold people. All right.
Cold
Well,
War.
yeah. As we're wrapping things up here, I guess I excuse my lack of research here. Film's legacy and final thoughts. So it was nominated only for 3 Academy Awards. Gary Oldman was actually only nominated for Best Actor, and then Best
Mhm.
Writing was nominated Bridget O'Connor and Peter Strahan. And then Alberto Iglesias was nominated for Best Score at the Oscars. Um,
It did clean up
it,
in the British awards though. Like it.
Yeah, the BAFTAs,
Mhm.
it has several wins. Best adapted screenplay, and then also a lot of nominees. And then it got the winner for best British film.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah,
It's a
pretty
much smaller
critically,
pool, though.
yeah. Pretty critically acclaimed though. I believe as far as I remember the audience, it was not like a huge film when it came out, but it's been kind of like a steady one of having a lot of engagement with
I'm
people.
I don't think it's ever been disliked. I think maybe
Yeah.
it didn't. And I looked it up. It was made a $21 million budget and it made $81 million. So audiences
Okay.
did like this.
Yeah.
I remember when this movie came out, it was billed, I think it was a December release. It
Hmm.
was award season, and I remember it being billed as here, let me look real quick.
I mean it's a
Uh
classic awards baity movie.
yeah. I remember this being billed as like the big like drama of the award season.
Hmm.
Like even in the like trailers for it that were on television, there was a lot of gravitas to this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So I yeah, I guess we can jump to what our ratings are. So for this show we're gonna do ratings out of 5 stars, and then we will post what our ratings are on Letterboxd, and then we'll also have a show Letterboxd, which will have our aggregate for each of the scores that we give. So out of 5 stars, half stars are in play, quarter stars are not in play. Kevin, only
Kevin,
half
are you a
stars.
quarter star?
No, I just like I like having options.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
When we're doing because like okay, I'll start with my star rating.
Okay, take it away, Kev.
I'll give this 3.5 stars. I don't think it's like I actually like this movie quite a bit,
Hmm.
and like for me, it would be like, but I don't think it's like quite at 4 stars.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, 3.5.
Okay.
I thought I had more to follow up on that, but I actually don't.
Obviously, you did not.
All right, Charlie, what about you?
Firm 3 stars.
Oh, okay, even lower.
Well,
I think it's a
Charlie,
very
Yeah.
well made film. Very well
Mm-hmm.
made film. Great cast, great acting, but
great score.
great score. But honestly, I don't, and I'm very strict with my scores.
Stingy.
I'm very stingy. So like a four is very rare for me. Three is very good. Uh, fours are mostly reserved for very good films that also really like either introduced me to a new way of thinking or like deeply affected me or like really do something different.
Mm-hmm. How do you get a
Three,
five? How do you get 5 stars then?
haven't found one yet.
5 is
Good
perfect.
Lord.
Haven't found one yet. I will say that I do believe, and I'll go ahead and define this now on the first episode. I believe in a concept called perfect movies, which is a movie that is self-contained. It tells its story well, has no glaring plot holes, and is just like wraps everything up in a satisfying way. Uh, this is a perfectly made movie.
Okay.
Like it's very competently made, and it wraps everything up in
Yeah.
a satisfying
And
manner.
and you haven't found one of those yet.
I have not found a 5 out of 5. Like a movie that like was good and enjoyable, but also like changed me
Yeah.
like in a deep way. I have not really. I found fours, but I haven't found fives.
What about
Yeah.
4.5s?
I'm certain that there's been a 4.5 at some point, but like I've always second guessed that because it's so close to five.
Okay.
That's true. That's true.
Um, well, for me, this is a 5 out of 5 movie. I like to grade stuff on a very wide scale. I actually have very few 1 star movies that I've watched, and like a 1 star would be like
Have you seen
technically
Avatar: The Last Airbender by M. Night Shyamalan?
no, because I think that would be a 1 star movie, and I just don't want to watch that sort of movie.
Right.
So yeah, it's a 5 out of 5 star movie for me. It's like it's one of my favorites. I think it's one that I feel like I've talked about this in the past, but you have to be in a specific mood for it. And this feels like
Mhm.
the perfect movie to like watch a video essay about and then go watch this movie. Like I feel like that's the sort of like context that feels really right for this.
Mhm.
But yeah, I really, really like this movie. I love all the actors. I love the music. I love how it looks. Like it just feels like a very specific vibe. Like when I'm
Mhm.
feeling like dark and thunderstormy and like doing a spy stuff, this is the sort of movie that I'm looking for. So, yeah,
Right.
5 out of 5 for me.
I think that's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Fair.
right. Well, yeah, this has been Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Um, for our next movie, Charlie has the pick, and what we've decided for this podcast to do is we will do a 6 degrees of separation, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, if you will, to pick our next movie. So, Charlie, first, what is your pick, or what is our 6 degrees of separation? How did you get here? And then what is our pick of the movie?
So I got here because I picked a movie that also features Mark Strong.
Okay.
However, after watching both movies, I would like to there's like a bunch of weird overlap. These movies both have Tom Hardy. I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
These movies both feature sweaty, pale British people doing a club sport. Uh, and there's a couple others. I should have written them all down. But so our pick is the 2008 Guy Ritchie gangster movie Rock and Rolla. And I picked it because I watched it
Hey,
in
well,
high.
best spot,
I,
best spot. We'll get into that
we'll
next
get it.
episode, Charlie. Come
You
Yeah.
can
on.
stop me. But Rock and Rolla is the next movie. Another British movie. This one much cheekier.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's accurate. All right.
We'll see
Well, we
you
have
all
been
later.
yeah, we will see you all later. We've been the completely original movie podcast. Thank you for listening. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. It'll be the completely original pod um on Instagram and follow us on Letterboxd. We'll have all of our details in the doobly doo description below.
Do 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 do.
All right. Thanks,
That's a
Charlie.
Nardwar reference.
Oh, okay. All right. Bye. Thanks everybody.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.